So I can hear the comments coming in, and we get comments like this all the time. I'm sure you get them on your blog too, like dividend paying stocks.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's the
Yeah.
solution to this, right? Because they just throw off cash. They perpetually, yeah. So let's put this to bed, because I'm honestly so tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, there are two things again that I think the FIRE community gets right, and then it's so keep things simple, right? And stock picking doesn't work, and market timing doesn't work, and the funny thing is, I write this whole 53-part series, and then people just leave a comment. Oh, you don't have to write your series. I mean, it's very easy. Just do stock picking or market timing.
Right. Bingo.
It's almost like you're in a comedy show or something. Right? So it's almost is there a laugh track coming in the background?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think. If we agree that stock picking is something also quite difficult, so we are now saying that all of these stock pickers, they just overlook the one really obvious thing, right? So they should just go all into dividend stocks, and then you can beat the market. And of course, it's not true, right? So, then the people try to tweak this a little bit, right? They say, well, we don't just look at high dividend payers, because you could be in this value trap, right? So this is this trap where the stock got completely clobbered, right? So the price went down, the dividend is still relatively high, and the dividend yield looks really high, but well, it's just a question of time until dividend gets cut. Okay. So then people come up with these additional screens, right? So the screen would be, well, you have to be not just a dividend payer, it has to be a dividend payer that has been consistently paying dividends, right? Yes. So it turns out, right, until 2008, what were some of the most consistent dividend payers? Right, it's financial institutions. Right? The Bank of America, Citibank, they were all. I think Bank of America for sure was one of the companies that made it into this dividend aristocrat screen, right? So because they had been paying consistent dividends, they're always raising the dividends, well, until they stopped paying dividends or they cut their dividends drastically. So, and then on top of that, right, so not only is your dividend cut, right, so but now you can say, well, now I sell. Well, do you sell the stock now after they cut the dividend, right? So it's kind of too late now because the price got clobbered. Do you sit it out? So my general theory is that I don't think that this dividend strategy and dividend pumping really works. Now, I have to be also careful, right? Because I don't want to say that dividend stocks are consistently underperforming, right? So I'm just saying that it's a kind of a hit or miss, right? So there have been recessions and bear markets where dividend stocks performed a little bit better. It turns out that in 2008, it was actually roughly a wash, right? So some of the financial stocks performed really poorly, but some of the more brick and mortar stocks, they performed a little bit better during the 2008 recession. So if you look at the returns of something like a U.S. dividend stocks versus U.S. just the broad market S&P 500, they weren't so different. And I found that some of the dividend payers, they were a little bit underperforming the S&P 500, but I wouldn't really rub that in too badly. And then on top of that, the fact that that dividend payers in some recessions, they underperform. I'm not saying that they underperformed because they paid dividends.
Sure, yeah.
I'm saying that there were some other factors. There were some industries that are traditionally more likely or less likely to pay dividends. So, for example, during the pandemic bear market, it was mostly growth stocks that did relatively well. So the non-dividend payers, the IT stocks that did relatively well, and dividend payers got hammered. Turns out that in the current bear market, it's actually the other way around. So now it's more of the high-flying IT stocks that got hammered, and then some of the old brick and mortar stocks are now catching up again. So again, I'm not saying that underperformance or outperformance is because of dividends. It's because of other factors, and then they're just sometimes dividend stocks are doing well, and sometimes they don't do well. It's a hit or miss. So yeah, I mean, there's some additional risk from doing that dividend route, and I'm very skeptical. And I've written, I think it's parts 29, 30, and 31 on my blog. So so I wrote this blog post. I thought I could kind of dispel this dividend myth in one blog post, but I mean, these dividend people, they are persistent.
Relentless.
They're very zealous.